We are Team Free Willy. We are presenting on Phase 1 and 2, presented by Garrett Onised, Jillian Bender, Bufus Cohen, Kate Hawkins, and Jenna Linden. So in Phase 1, we covered the problem. The problem is that California is currently suffering in its worst drought. To combat the drought and slow down the process of wasting water, we need to practice good habits of saving water. To do this, though, we need to be able to target the attitudes of individuals. So then we identify our dependent variable. Our DV is focused on attitudes in association to water conservation. A conceptual definition of our DV is that attitude is defined as the way a person responds favorably or unfavorably to some kind of event, person, institution, and furthermore. In Phase 2, we looked at our 5 independent variables. The first independent variable was psychological reactance, which can be defined as the way an individual responds to a threat to their perceived behavioral freedom. We then looked at a second independent variable. This is source credibility, and that can be defined as sources or authors that can be trusted. There are 3 dimensions of source credibility: competence, trustworthiness, and caring or goodwill. The third independent variable is social norms. This is defined as the behaviors that are accepted within a given group or social circle. Our fourth independent variable is perceived behavioral control, which refers to the way an individual believes they can perform an action. Our last independent variable is knowledge, and knowledge is defined as being familiar with something based on experience and a justified true belief. We connect our independent variables to our dependent variable. We connect our first independent variable, psychological reactance, because the perceived freedom of using water being threatened causes the reestablishment to this freedom. We connect our second independent variable, source credibility, because the receiver perceives a message through the sender, which means the perception of the sender is crucial to the receiver's attitudes. We connect our third independent variable, social norms, because our perceptions, attitudes, and beliefs are shaped by who we are and who we surround ourselves with. Our fourth independent variable, perceived behavioral control, connects because an individual's thoughts to do an action become easier as the resources become more scarce. And lastly, our fifth IV, knowledge, connects because it is a prerequisite to attitude. To have a favorable or unfavorable feeling, one must be able to understand the concept. Also in Phase 2, we conducted our method of measurement. Our measurement conducted formulating a survey centered around our 5 IVs. This survey was sent using a snowball sample on our personal networks. The total sample was 115 participants, all from Chapman University. The age group was 17 to 25, and roughly 60-40% male-female. Of the 5 IVs, we did a 7-point Likert scale for each one. In psychological reactance, we had 10 items. In source credibility, we had 9 items. Social norms, perceived behavioral control, and knowledge all tested 4 items each.
We recoded our data and put it into the SPSS program and ran a Cronbach's alpha analysis, a descriptive statistics analysis, an R-squared analysis, as well as a regression analysis. After running our analysis, we came to the conclusion that our Cronbach's alpha was equal to 0.661, which is below the recommended 0.7, meaning we can count our data as reliable. Our means and standard deviations did not vary too much in terms of range. Due to the similar means and standard deviations, we can use this data because it meets our assumptions. Our R-squared value was 0.275, meaning that there really was a relatively low coefficient of determination. For significance, we had p-values all under 0.05, meaning that all our independent variables were considered significant. After finding all of our coefficients, we are then able to create the equation for attitudes toward water conservation, which can be seen at the bottom of the screen.